Hi, my name is Yazan Ibrahim, also known as Yazan Abogosh. Today we will take about 1.4 risk-based audit planning. Imagine standing on the bridge of a ship navigating through stormy seas. Around you, waves crash, the wind howls, and dark clouds obscure your view of the horizon. Each wave represents a possible threat to your ship, a business's objectives in this metaphor. Some waves are small and manageable, like uncertainty over a new policy, while others rise dangerously high, like major cybersecurity breaches threatening to capsize the operation. Your ship's safety and progress hinge on your ability to point it toward the best course through the chaos. This is where risk-based audit planning comes into play. A master navigator's map for directing focus to the most dangerous or unavoidable waves rather than wasting energy charting paths through calm seas. Risk-based audit planning is all about deploying resources where they matter the most, areas that present the greatest threats or opportunities to an organization's survival and objectives. It's a strategy rooted in understanding the interconnected web of external forces, internal operations, organizational goals, and the unique pulse of the business itself, much like learning to read the ocean's currents and winds. But to man the helm effectively, an auditor must have a broad and deep understanding of their territory, including four critical components: strategy management, business operations, governance frameworks, and the labyrinth of transactional flows across information systems. Here's the key. A skilled navigator, an IS auditor in our case, isn't merely a passive observer of organizational risk. Instead, they actively translate risk into an actionable map, allocating attention and resources to the stormiest parts of the sea. But make no mistake, this isn't simply fretting about every storm cloud or wave. It requires prioritization. By leveraging a well-calculated risk model, businesses can not only avoid the stormy waters, but sometimes even harness the energy of those storms to make progress. Prioritizing the storms. Imagine those crashing waves again, but this time picture them through a different lens. Each represents a type of audit risk. There are inherent risks, the probability that hazards naturally exist due to a business's nature or the environment it sails in. A fast-paced tech startup in the cloud industry, for example, inherently faces risks quite different from a traditional brick-and-mortar retail chain. Then there are control risks. These arise when the ship's safety mechanisms, internal controls, fail to act on or detect a looming wave. Think of it like a warning beacon signaling trouble. Sometimes the beacon is faulty, or you might be so focused on one hazard that another slips past unnoticed. Finally, there's detection risk, the sneakiest of all. This is tied to the auditor's own limitations in spotting errors or critical threats lurking in the depths. These could be oversights in the audit process or reliance on incomplete information, leaving dangerous gaps in navigation. Taken together, these three risks, like unruly pillars of an unpredictable storm, combine to form the overall audit risk, the chance of something critical being missed altogether, which could spell disaster for the ship. An auditor's mission? To reduce that overall audit risk. But unlike a ship's captain, they don't simply shout orders or pull the ship out of the water entirely. That would be akin to risk avoidance, eliminating the chance of danger entirely by steering clear but also halting progress. Instead, risk-based auditors aim for balance. They use a disciplined approach to weigh cost versus benefit, assess the impact of errors, and even leverage risk when practical, much like a ship catching the strong winds of a storm at its back rather than letting it capsize them. Translating risk into action. To understand risk-based audit planning is to understand its many layers. Let's return to the ship once more. Business risk forms the broad seas, everything from financial market upheavals to the evolving threat landscape of cybersecurity. Industry-specific examples abound. Picture an airline, safety regulations, volatile fuel prices, and the demand for efficient IT services make up just part of the turbulent waters they face. If systems that oversee flight bookings or safety records were to falter, passengers could be left stranded, or worse, lives could be at stake. The risks here aren't just about avoiding mistakes. They're bound intricately to organizational strategy. An IS auditor examining such a business doesn't just float across the surface scouring for random threats. They delve deep, categorizing risks across all aspects of the operation, financial, regulatory, technological, and measuring them systematically. Whether through simple weighted formulas or elaborate systems, risk models become the compass. Some may look basic, setting values such as high, medium, or low. Others thrive on complexity, involving intricate layers and specific scoring mechanisms. Regardless of the approach, success hinges on using such tools to prioritize which hazards deserve the most attention. As the shape of these risks emerges, the auditor is left with actionable insights: where to focus audits, what controls to inspect, and how to marshal finite resources for the greatest impact. It's like standing before a high priority map of the sea, knowing precisely where explosive reefs, deep chasms, or trade opportunities lie. The process of risk assessment, a cycle. Auditing risk isn't a one-time scan of the horizon, it's a recurring cycle of preparation, action, and reflection. Let's step into the boots of an IS auditor mid-voyage. Their first task is understanding the organization itself, its ambitions, constraints, and the ecosystems in which it operates. Then they dig deeper, identifying key assets like sensitive financial databases, critical communication systems, or customer records, each of which could be at risk of compromise. From here, the real detective work begins. Vulnerabilities and threats are assessed. What factors could harm these critical assets? Is it a vulnerability in IT systems? Could outside market forces wreak havoc? Each identified risk is assigned a probability, much like labeling sections of the sea with warnings of how likely or unlikely it is that trouble will manifest. After this, we enter practical realms, determining controls that will either reduce the likelihood of these issues or soften their blow should the threats materialize. It's the stage where adventure meets practicality, when captains equip their vessels with storm-proof sails, anchor systems, or robust communication lines back to shore. And just like seasoned mariners keeping an eye on shifting weather patterns, auditors monitor the controls to ensure they're holding up against ongoing risks. Decision-making amid uncertainty. Sometimes the decision isn't about fixing risks, but about choosing to live with them. Risk acceptance, choosing to tolerate risks either due to their low impact or because mitigation costs outrun benefits, may be the best business choice. But it's never a gamble. It requires clear records of acceptance decisions, a deep understanding of the risk appetite, and steadfast adherence to compliance obligations. On the flip side, when a course correction is required, risk mitigation kicks in, involving robust safeguards, yet other risks simply need to be avoided entirely or transferred through insurance. The ultimate goal is to steer the organization toward calmer waters, where risk levels are tolerable, business objectives are laser focused, and no one overlooks iceberg-sized threats beneath the surface. The bigger picture, why risk-based audit matters. At its heart, risk-based audit planning isn't just a ship's map, it's an art form of prioritization. By allocating attention to high-risk zones, audit teams ensure their efforts provide maximum value to the business. Their work shines a light on blind spots while guiding executives to make decisions with a full understanding of the treacherous seas ahead. It's a tool of empowerment, a system that helps organizations rise above the chaos of unreasonable fear or complacency, balancing risks as they confidently chase their goals. And in an era where dangers loom not only in physical spaces but also in sprawling digital landscapes, where one small misstep in IT security can lead to devastating consequences, navigating risk with precision is more important than ever. As the video closes, think of risk-based audit planning not just as a process but as a philosophy for success, actively managing uncertainty, minimizing the unknown, and steering the ship ever closer to a prosperous shore. Thank you for watching, and as always, continue learning. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.